And I have yet to see anything besides the 3 videos at this point.
All right, so when I ended the stream earlier, I briefly mentioned... Actually, you know what? Let me get everything set up and we'll get right into this.
For people who didn't see it, the press conference again. Link again, my X account is pinned in the chats. If you go to my X account, you will see the 3 different videos. But you should see my X account pinned in the chat.
And execute warrants to...
We do. So earlier this morning, Minneapolis was the site of an ICE officer-involved shooting. We've preliminary information that has been coming out know that allegedly the woman who was shot was a woman, according to Mike Tobin, who is there still on scene. Mike Tobin, if you're there, let's get the latest from you. Oh, okay. So we're going to bring it back to the couch as we talk about this. Harris, you were monitoring the tweets that were coming out from leadership there in Minneapolis, and it seemed that immediately upon learning of this ICE-involved shooting, we do know that all ICE agents are safe, but that leadership there was tweeting out about getting ICE out of Minneapolis, although Mike Walls allegedly has urged people to stay calm. What are your thoughts as this develops?
Well, leaving the politicians doing what they often do, Emily, I'll get...
Okay, so that's old from this morning. We have something crazy happening. I don't know where else to find this footage. You just played it a second ago here. Shout out the 199 and D-Day Cobra. But anyway, we have a situation here where it appears a woman tries to run over an ICE agent.
Perished. She died from the gunshot injuries. Play out. No,
shit! They left out the part where they're ordering her out of the vehicle. They left out the part where they're approaching the vehicle and say, "Get out of the vehicle." Oh my gosh.
And there it goes. We're just going to play the very initial, seconds or so there. But there's this apparent effort. Perhaps ICE was moving down the road. You could see that one, I believe it's a pickup truck. Yeah, the pickup truck, that's ICE trying to get down the road. The woman again begins with a car in a perpendicular position. I don't know how exactly.
She was just an observer. She was just an observer.
But she did appear to perhaps be blocking ICE's progress towards a target, towards a destination. I don't know. The agents got out. They were angry. They ordered her to leave. They reached for her door a couple of times, and that is when she kind of peels out to the right, and then there is an agent right there who opens fire into the window, and she is subsequently killed. So this video will be closely scrutinized by people on all sides, investigators.
There's nothing
attorney's office
to scrutinize. It's as clear as day. She tried to murder an ICE agent. It was attempted murder, and he acted in self-defense. This is as cut and dry.
I need to see the video again in full. I know he played it earlier in its entirety. Here, right here.
Now, they're telling her to get out of the car. They're telling her to get out of the car, and she is refusing to get out of the car. Now, I'm going to skip forward. I don't want to get hit on this, but right there is where it happens.
Oh my fucking God! What the fuck? What the fuck? You just fucking, what the fuck did you do?
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood. What the fuck?
That is the voice of a soy boy right there. What the fuck?
He's not wrong. I need that first angle again, though. That is wild.
Left.
No!
That is wild. Let's see what we got going on here.
Governor Walz is going to be doing a press conference at 3:15 Eastern Time. Also, here is a post from Governor Walz. He says, "I've seen the video. Don't believe this propaganda machine. The state will ensure there is full, fair, and expeditious investigation to ensure accountability and justice." That's from Governor Walz. Again, there will be a press conference. What I want to do actually is just make sure at 3:15. Hold on. Hopefully they show it on their social media. All right, so again, Governor Walz press conference coming up at 3:15 Eastern Time.
In fact,
I'll actually
we have
put that on the screen
evidence
as well.
Of them protecting ICE, allowing them to do what seem to be like really very clear violations of our like local law, and we witnessed that a lot.
One of the organizers.
Yes, and then we'll have to see how the community responds.
So we have massive protests now. Groups, people have gathered. The word has spread. This happened, I believe, at least a couple hours ago. I remember covering it briefly when it was like this, and now it's just gotten out of control now, the amount of people on site.
ICE's progress towards a target, towards a destination, I don't know. The agents got out, they were angry, they ordered her to leave, they reached for her door a couple of times, and that is when she kind of peels out to the right, and then there is an agent right there who opens fire into the window, and she is subsequently killed. So this video will be closely scrutinized by people on all sides, investigators. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office has chimed in with commentary about wanting a
reacting, and that started it. But that situation has been de-escalated, and there was no police intervention with that. It was all kind of people involved in the...
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Tom Yamas.
And good day. We are coming on the air with breaking news right now of a deadly ICE-involved shooting out of Minneapolis. The Minneapolis police chief says a woman was killed after being shot in the head by an ICE agent. Take a look at this video. It is one angle. It shows the moment of the shooting. The police chief says it happened when the woman was approached by federal law enforcement because her car was blocking a road. You see what happens here. They say she was not a target of law enforcement. The woman then tries to drive away, but it appears there was an agent directly in front of her. From the video, it looks like at least 2 shots were fired by that agent. The police chief confirming at least 2 shots were fired. The woman's vehicle then crashes and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. Officials did not reveal the woman's identity, but authorities said she was middle-aged and white. This is the video. Once again, you can see agents approaching her, an agent in front of the car, that agent appearing to fire. According to this angle, just one of a couple of different videos we're looking at right now. The Department of Homeland Security saying in a statement, quote, "Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism." Again, that's coming from the federal government. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. Thankfully, the ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. City officials holding a news conference in the last hour with the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Fry, sending a strong message to ICE, telling them to leave Minneapolis now. Take a listen.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
At the same time, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem addressed
fight
the
against
shooting
the
at a
federal
separate-
agents. So far, he's a paper tiger. I know he's only been mayor for like 10 minutes, but I don't think this man is going to be able to stand up to the federal government because he can't. This is a federal matter. There are problems with illegal aliens, with foreign criminals. Go away. None of your business. If you can't sort out your state, it's the job of the federal government. You know who says that? The Constitution of the United States of America. Idiots. Now, someone says, I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was never like this. I know. Everywhere's changing. It's interesting because Colorado is changing massively. And about 10 years ago, for some reason, I was just looking around and I really wanted to move to Colorado. Not anymore. So Colorado's down badly. ICE are doing a great job. If you're not legally in the US, ICE, on behalf of DHS, can remove you. And LeBel says, surprised that Ice Baby hasn't topped the charts. It did for a while though, a few months ago, because of this.
Directly in front of that ICE agent. She did not stop her car. The ICE agent fired. She crashes her vehicle. Again, there are several different angles of this incident right now. We are looking at all of them, and we're giving you all the information we have at this hour. I do want to bring in NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, this just speaks to sort of the heightened level of intensity that is happening there in Minneapolis. We know that since at least December, according to NBC News, 1,400 people have been arrested in these ICE operations. What was happening today, do we know, in that area before this happened?
Well, they had targeted this area, again, for more ICE operations to build on that 1,400. So many of the arrests have been made just since Sunday, when ICE sent over 2,000 agents to Minneapolis area. And today was the day Border Patrol also started an increased presence in operations in Minneapolis. So tensions, Tom, were already high before this incident took place. And of course, it comes after the Trump administration has fired back at Governor Tim Walz. In that statement from the Department of Homeland Security about this incident, they blame Walz and the city's sanctuary policies for incidents like these. But as you can see very clearly in this video, Tom, it does not appear that this person sought out these officers. They are coming to her car. As she goes into reverse, we see, of course, from the back of the car, so it's not clear if the officer at the hood of the car could have thought that he was moving closer to her before she attempted to turn her wheel. But I've been speaking to senior DHS officials who are familiar with ICE's training, and the way they train federal officers really across the government is that they are only supposed to use their weapons and fire at a person if there's an immediate threat of injury or death. And so typically, an incident like this would be investigated to determine if the officer used his or her weapon because the bar had reached that height. Instead, what we're seeing today is very quick dissemination of information, both from DHS in terms of statements and from Secretary Kristi Noem, quick to say this was an act of domestic terrorism and that it builds on what they say is an increase in threats and assaults on ICE officers, only ratcheting up the tension further between federal law enforcement and city leaders in Minneapolis and Minnesota.
Yeah, Julia, we've covered a lot of these cases where someone is in a car and the car is approaching a police officer in that manner, whether at a high speed. You know, we'll learn more exactly how fast they were going, and the car is considered a lethal weapon. Courts have upheld that. In this case, it appears, again, from this video, she is clearly moving forward. There is an ICE agent in front of her. It is for experts, and I'm sure at some point maybe even a court of law to look at this and say, was the ICE agent in the right? Was his life threatened? Was this driver in the wrong in not stopping, not surrendering when they were trying to get into her car and trying to open her door? I do want to bring in Jim Cavanaugh right now. He is a retired ATF special agent. He's one of our NBC News analysts. Jim, you know, we are seeing one angle. There's another angle out there as well. But from what you can see in this video, what exactly happened here? And I know it is very, very early and maybe even too early to sort of ask the question of who was right and who was wrong. But what are you seeing here with your eyes?
Well, we're seeing a person who was, you know, being stopped in the street. Her vehicle's across the street, and ICE agents are trying to talk to her. There's an agent right next to the driver's window, Tom, trying to talk to her, and she accelerates to escape, apparently. You know, we don't know her exact motivation, but to leave, to not comply with.
I think it's pretty obvious her exact motivation there was to drive away and escape. I mean, come on now. She wasn't hanging around waiting for them to open her door. So, I think we can confirm that. And I can also confirm that you legally cannot block a road like that. Period. As a person. As a civilian. As an everyday person. So, the police could have even pulled her out of her vehicle there. For that alone. Blocking traffic.
The officer's demands. There's another ICE agent, though, in front of the SUV. And what it will hinge on is the officer's belief, who fired the shots, the one who's in front, that he believed he was under threat, imminent threat, of death or great bodily harm by being struck by the vehicle. Now, I think what's critical in the case is going to be the angle of shot. For example, if the shots are through the side driver's window, the side window, then, you know, that's not really justifiable use of force because the car is passing you. But if they're from the front, and from some of the bullet hole photographs I've looked at online, there appears to be one through the windshield, the front of the windshield, you know, just directly on the driver's side fender, and a couple more that may be bullet holes right below that in the body. And they said the officer fired 3 times. You know, this puts him more directly in the path of the vehicle. He has a millisecond to decide if he's going to be run over or not.
And then, Jim, I guess the critical question is, Jim, the critical question is, what is most law enforcement training if that vehicle indeed was in front of him and heading towards him?
No, you use deadly force because you don't want to be run over. So you're justified to use deadly force to stop the action from running you over or hitting you. Even if you're hit with the headlight or the front fender, you could be seriously injured. Now, that's not to say it was justified. We don't know exactly, Tom, because the body-worn cameras of the ICE agents have to be analyzed. The statements of the agent, and especially the agent who fired his weapon, has to be analyzed. The witness videos have to be looked at. There has to be measurements. Everything has to be looked at carefully. But if it's reasonable that he thought he was going to be run over and he's being assaulted and maybe run over, you know, he can use deadly force. Tom, a lot of times people say, oh, well, he didn't think he was going to be run over. But when you're the person that's going to be run over, you know, it's a millisecond you have to decide. It is
still very early, and tensions are still very high there in Minneapolis, and I'm sure we're going to learn much more in the minutes and hours ahead as we continue to cover this throughout the day here. We're going to stay on top of this. This is going to conclude this NBC News special report right now. We're going to have much more ahead on NBC News Now, online at NBCNews.com, and a full wrap-up tonight on NBC.
I don't know, I guess he was a little short for time there with his segment, but at the same time, it felt like he didn't really like the answers he was getting. So he was kind of like shutting them down a bit. All right, you know, like let's move it along to the next thing here. That's kind of typical of the mainstream media.
But please do so safely and lawfully to ensure that we do not have any further tragedy in this city or destruction. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, council members. Commissioner, I'll open it to questions.
Any idea on the identity of the ICE officer who fired those shots at this point?
I don't have that information, no. The question was, is there an
ICE officer stopped a position from us helping the lady who was shot. Is that true? We've seen video, it's all over social media, that someone tried to help this lady and they were pointed guns at and told to get away. Do you know about that at all?
So the question was, there's information out there that people tried to help the woman that was shot, and ICE officers then pointed guns at them and told them to leave. I do not have that information. I myself saw a video of the shots being fired as the car was driving away. What I can tell you is the narrative that this was just done
in her words, and just really try to change the way that the laws are written right now, seeing some what she believes are injustices there. Also on the law enforcement side, we heard Chief Brian O'Hara talking about the increase in training right now, specifically in these types of First Amendment confrontations. You know, his officers are going through it. We've talked to St. Paul; their officers are going through it. Really important that everybody is trying to follow the law, and then you throw in emotion and just the wild card of how things can escalate on both sides of things, on law enforcement sides and protester sides. So, and that's way more subjective.
That's the hard part too, is because we know tensions are high at this point. People, you know, see politics in everything these days, right? So it's like you have people on both sides who think, you know, I'm all for this side or I'm all for this side, and things just kind of butt heads, and we see that happen a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what this incident today does for, you know, maybe across the country moving forward with some of these ICE operations that we have seen, because we know, again, thousands of agents deployed specifically to the Twin Cities at the largest operation they mentioned as well. We want to get to our Nathan O'Neill. He is at City Hall this afternoon. Nathan, what are you gathering right now as we are all, you know, looking at this scene together at 34th and Portland in Minneapolis?
Yeah, well, some of the most important information that's come out within the last hour came directly from Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara and the mayor when they spoke about an hour ago, like I mentioned, giving some really just the basic facts that we know about this case, which was that a 37-year-old woman is now dead after she was shot by an ICE agent, at least shot in the head, multiple shots.
As the day progresses, as we could see here, the crowd, I don't know if it's become larger, but it looks like people are still there. It looks like they're not going away anytime soon, obviously. As the day progresses and the day becomes night, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I think this area will probably be shut down for the rest of the day, but at the same time, it's hard to tell exactly what's going to happen here. The weekend is coming up in a few days, and these groups typically band together pretty quickly. So if they are going to protest, this weekend could be the time. As you can see here, that's already happening. Literally already happening.
They predicted could happen as far as, you know, a month or so ago, whenever operations started kind of ramping up around the country. Police Chief Brian O'Hara kind of speculated and worried, quite frankly, that this could be the worst case scenario. And unfortunately, that is what has happened.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Sorry, we're gathering a lot here. We're listening to you, but we're also listening to Ryan, our producer, who's also in the booth as we're getting people situated in you know, a lot of different spots here. And again, as we're looking at that scene there as well.
Yeah. Nathan, we appreciate. We'll check back in with you here in just a little bit as we check in with our different reporters. We have several at the scene where this happened this morning, 34th East in Portland and Minneapolis. And as Nathan was saying, really the messaging, and I know this firsthand just from interviewing Chief O'Hara here in the course of the last couple of months, this is exactly what they had been dreading, is the way that the mayor put it. A situation like this where there is very little to no communication, really no communication ahead of time with local law enforcement because of separation ordinances, and then ICE agents coming in from different parts of the country, you know, and we don't want to characterize all ICE agents as, you know, something as good or bad, or I know the mayor had very strong language and said, you know, get the expletive out, and there are very, very strong feelings toward these ICE agents. At the same time, he kind of said, let's greet this with love and compassion. So, you know, it's tough when emotions are involved here, but I think just important to point out there's a lot of different agencies. The people who are still on the scene, the law enforcement who are still on the scene, our understanding is State Patrol has come in, perhaps for crowd control, MPD, FBI, and BCA. And so, you know, when you show up at a scene and ICE has departed, know that, you know, if you're angry at ICE, that these are the folks who are now kind of coming in to respond to things like crowd control and keeping property and lives safe as well.
Yeah, the aftermath of what's happening. We've also been told that Governor Walz will hold a press conference at 2:15. Of course, we will take that to you live. We have our reporter Leon Purvis on the ground there at the scene at 34th in Portland. And Leon, you have a witness with you, right?
Yes, here I have with me Trevor Heitkamp. You witnessed the crash and the shooting this morning.
Yeah, that's correct.
Walk us through. Tell our viewers, what did you see?
So I woke up, stepped outside of my house to smoke a cigarette. I heard commotion from about a half a block away. I walked towards the scene, and there was a maroon Honda kind of like sideways in the road. And people were shouting like, move your car, you're obstructing the road. And the car began to back up and then pull forward at maybe 2 miles an hour. And then someone started to shout, no, no. And then a moment later, 4 or 5 shots were fired into the vehicle. And at that point, I believe the person's foot hit the gas pedal pretty hard, and then it crashed into the nearest car on the opposite side of the street. And then after that, the surviving passenger got out of the car, covered in blood, and a man on the street claimed to be a doctor and was shouting, I'm a physician, I'm a doctor, allow me to provide emergency medical care. The ICE agents who were there said, no, get back, get on the sidewalk. And while that was happening, a different agent was shouting, no pulse, no pulse. Within 2 minutes, emergency medical ambulances were here. They couldn't get in from the north side, so they got in from the east, parked around the corner. And I saw 2 ICE agents, presumably ICE agents, carry the body from the vehicle halfway down the block and around the corner to where the ambulance was, where the body was given CPR and then taken away.
Now, you mentioned you live around here. That was pretty gruesome to see.
Yeah, it was. This was maybe 4 or 5 houses down from where I live.
And what's your reaction to all this? Because you're filming this in real time.
Yeah, I started filming immediately once I got to the scene, because that's what they say you're supposed to do when this kind of thing happens. And within 30 seconds of me filming, the shots were fired, and this person died for what I believe was no reason other than a minor inconvenience and imagined fear.
And what do you make of what you saw? I mean, what do you make of all of it?
It's so disappointing. It makes me incredibly angry. I'm still in a state of disbelief. I can't believe that something like this would happen in my neighborhood.
Has something like this happened before, depending on how long you've been here for?
I've lived in the neighborhood almost 4 years. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a person die before.
And, you know, we're working on getting that video for all of our viewers and everything. And, you know, just when you first showed me it, I couldn't believe it myself.
Yeah, the car was moving forward pretty slowly. It seemed to be complying with what the agents wanted of getting out of the road. And then, yeah, I think this guy got scared for a...
Well, when you watch the video, it's actually quite the opposite. They tell her to stop and get out of the vehicle, which she doesn't.
Numbers, I understand the anger. Let's unite around hope and love and peace and getting justice. That's what we need to be doing right now. I appreciate the service from everybody up here as well as the 435,000 people that call Minneapolis home. Thank you.
Got some housekeeping for you in just a moment after everyone leaves.
All right, so that was the press conference in Minneapolis. Now, at 3:15 Eastern time, there's supposed to be a Governor Walz press conference. I don't know what the situation with the video is. You know, Governor Walz did an announcement a few days ago when he announced that he was no longer running for governor. And like none of the news agencies even had that footage. Some of the local affiliates had it, but the news agencies didn't have it. And also, it wasn't being shown by like the state government. So I honestly don't know yet if I will have video of the Governor Walz press conference because none of the news agencies I work with have it yet. It's kind of just weird. I hope they show it, but you know, I wish they, because I hope they show it on like the governor's website or something. But I don't know if that's going to happen. No, it's not up to them because it's a weird thing. I think they'd like to have it, the news agencies, but they don't have their own cameras there. So, but we'll see. I just don't know. I mean, if nothing else, I'll say, hey, go watch it on, this channel, on this local Minnesota channel on YouTube or something. I can't steal their footage.
Security, because they did put out a statement, and I just want to read some of that for you. I think that's important to do at this point after we just heard Leon's interview there. So the Department of Homeland Security said today, and I'm just going to read this off my phone here, today ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers. And one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism. ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training and he saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. And it says the alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. The ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries.
And Reinhard, do we have that video ready to go? Not quite yet. Okay, Ryan's just checking on one thing, and then we're going to just let it play, and we're not going to talk over it. We're just going to let you take that in and watch it on your own. But again, that's the account from Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem, who again was on the ground yesterday. And then we also heard from local law enforcement, including now. I will say that Chief Brian O'Hara of Minneapolis PD did not have as strong as language as the mayor did when it came to sort of saying that this was, not self-defense. He was very, very careful because clearly law enforcement, he needs to be very careful. This investigation is now turned over to the FBI and the BCA here locally to see if any Minnesota state laws were broken, and that is a standard procedure. So a couple of different agencies handling things moving forward as far as the investigation goes. Again, we're queuing up that video for you so that we can
shield and maybe 2 bullet holes just below that in the metal frame of the car there. So, what the case will hinge on here is, did the ICE agent who fired his weapon, that's the third one, the one toward the front of the car.
Right, the furthest from our perspective.
Did he have the furthest from our perspective, did he have a reasonable belief that he was in great imminent threat of great bodily harm or serious injury from the vehicle? That's got to be, his belief. If it is his belief, and if in fact a reasonable person could assume that, then he could use deadly force. He would be justified. If, however, he was not, and a reasonable person couldn't say, well, no, he wasn't in any threat at all, so therefore he could not use deadly force, and that could be a homicide. But, for example, say the shots were all through the side glass window, Hallie, the passenger side glass window. Well, that would not be a justified use of force in a case like this because the vehicle would be already past the...
Yeah, but it's quite obviously not.
Agent.
He's literally standing directly in front of the car. This guy right here. This guy right here with the brown hat, toque, or whatever. Maybe it's his hair.
So,
you could see the gun literally right in front of the car. The impact, like he's not beside the car. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like they're really trying to make this into something Like, he just wasn't beside the car. I don't know what the hell they're going on about.
I have not heard anything from President Trump about this yet. So we'll see what President Trump has to say. But he has not commented on this so far that I am aware. Here is a statement from the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison. This is the Minnesota Attorney General. He says, "My office is monitoring reports of an ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis today. Reports are still coming in, but it's been reported a woman was killed. My heart goes out to her and her family. Anyone hurt or killed in this act of violence." While there's a lot we don't know at this time, let me be clear about one thing. Donald Trump's decision to send thousands of armed ICE agents to Minnesota is causing serious harm and spreading terror throughout our communities. His reckless decision to escalate the aggression and number of immigration agents is a causal factor, regardless of the outcome of an investigation into this tragic death. I will do everything I can to change this awful path we are on. If anyone broke the law in today's act of violence, I will do all I can to ensure they are held accountable. That is from Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison. Hang on a moment. Again, Governor Walz, hold on a moment. We may have video. We may have access to video of Governor Walz speaking in 15 minutes. Let's see. Yes, we are going to have the video of Governor Walz speaking. We will have that for you in 15 minutes. I have access to it. It is being posted a place I can use. So again, Governor Walz, actually, let me put the clock up here. So we will be hearing from Governor Walz in less than 15 minutes now. So let me just fix this. 15. Governor Walz briefing in Governor Walz briefing in 14 minutes. You can see it right there. So we'll have that for you. We'll take some more comments and bring you updates, but we will have his briefing in 13 and a half minutes. What do we know about the victim, one of our viewers said? We know that she was in a car that was blocking the road during law enforcement activity. But she was not a target initially of the law enforcement activity. U.S. Rights and Freedoms asked that.
All right, yeah, a little bit of a interesting situation going on here. Mainstream media doing what they do best, blowing things out of proportion completely. They keep bringing up the fact that, like, oh, maybe he was beside the car when he did it, or oh, if there's bullet holes in the side of the car, then this and that. And it's like, it's quite obvious where he was standing when he fired. She shouldn't have been in the middle of the road to begin with. But other than that, it's pretty much cut and dry. Obviously, this is going to be the talk of the town for the next week and a half plus, probably. So let's see what's going on here. I guess Tim Walz is supposed to give a press conference very soon, but like, who cares what he has to say? He's literally stepping down, and he's a fool anyway.
The Minneapolis police were not the law enforcement directly involved with the shooting. Mercado is MERCADO. Mercado Media on YouTube is showing that live shot there. Thanks to Freeman Vashier, who says ICE agent fired at her as he was in front and to the side.
Earlier, he did say that her spouse did arrive to the hospital. Again, that woman is now deceased. But this is what we have been seeing maybe the last few hours or so. Crowds just like this one, just kind of gathering around watching what is happening. We know that the vehicle was towed away, the vehicle that that woman was in. We watched that live. That vehicle was towed away. And so right now, it's just a group of people, as Mike Manzoni mentioned, a group of people, you know, I guess giving their sense of protest. So I mentioned the police chief. We heard from him earlier, along with the mayor of Minneapolis. We want to play back that sound. If you weren't able to join us there, from Chief Brian O'Hare. Let's take a listen.
So the question was, what can I share about the deceased? There is nothing to indicate that this woman was the target of any law enforcement investigation or activity. This woman was in her car, and it appears then blocking the street because of the presence of federal law enforcement, which is obviously something that has been happening not just in Minneapolis, but around the country. She appears to be a middle-aged white woman.
Chief, just about a month ago, you said these unplanned and questionable tactics by federal agents would result in someone being killed at a press conference right here. Mm-hmm. Do you consider today's tactics in line with that, or do you just have a generic response to the fact that somebody is now dead?
The question is that I had previously made several statements about being concerned about the tactics being employed. I am obviously very concerned that I have been told that a woman who was sitting in her car blocking the street and not the target of any enforcement activity is now deceased. However, I do not know, to be clear, I do not know the exact circumstances of the shooting, but I would tell you, in any professional law enforcement agency in the country, I think they would tell you it's obviously very concerning whenever there's a shooting into a vehicle of someone who's not armed, but it also is something that is possible. At times it is justified, but it is very concerning, and it's something that most law enforcement agencies in the country train very intensely to try and minimize the risk that law enforcement officers get placed into a situation that the need for deadly force would be necessary.
Has there been any indication of that need in this case?
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Has there been any indication of the need of the
need to shoot into the vehicle?
The question was any indication about the need. I guess getting back to the justification of this, I have not seen any information other than what I have communicated.
Was she alone in the car? Were there children in the car with her?
The question was if she was alone in the car. I know that I got there shortly after this call came in. I did not see anyone else with her while I was on the scene. However, I've since been told by our officers that have been with her the entire time that a spouse has arrived at the hospital.
So you're just listening to Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara. Interestingly enough, I was sitting at my desk yesterday listening to the chief.
So the reason he didn't just go off on a tangent blaming this, that, and the fourth is because he's an officer. He's a chief, right? He's got to hold some sort of unbiased opinion. He's just the law at the end of the day. So he's simply just going off of the facts and what he knows and what he and his officers are taught. The mayor or whoever was standing behind him, on the other hand, this guy right here, he went off on a tangent. And yeah, at this point, it's like, just don't block the road. I don't know what else to say. If you weren't there to begin with, like if you weren't blocking the road and you were letting people carry on with their lives, letting the federal agents, literally blocking federal agents, like I don't know at that point. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Peacefully when he says that. That could mean different things to different people. You could look at that video and say, well, there was this person in a vehicle, presumably unarmed. We don't know for sure. And that seemed peaceful. And then on the other side of the coin, you could say we don't know for sure. There's some.
But anyway, that is going to do it for today's second live stream. This was a random out of the blue stream. I wasn't planning on doing this, but it seems to have blown up a little more than I thought it was going to earlier. Have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you are from. Thank you for joining on YouTube, Rumble, and Kick. Adios, everyone. I can only assume this is going to get crazier as the day goes on.
Distinct hard lines drawn by people like Mayor Jacob Fry saying, this is an ICE-free zone. ICE, you are not welcome here. This should not and will not happen on our streets.